Hi everyone, my name is Felicia and today I want to tell you guys about how I study and how I prepare for launch school's written and interview assessments. This system that I made for myself has only been possible because I've been in launch school for almost 2.5 years now, and in all this time I've been experimenting with a lot of different things and have picked up things from other students also. So the system that I have is very refined and I perfected it and made it in a way so that I can be as efficient as possible when I study. I didn't have this system when I first started out. I kind of was just doing things like how I had always done in college, and I realized really quick that it wasn't going to work out that way, so I started to do some different things to try and figure out a better way to study. So this is what I do now. When I get to a regular course, I do a first pass of the material. I go really slow over everything, not taking any notes, just reading, doing the exercises, and following along in code. And then I take the quiz. At this point, I'm just trying to get a general overview and sense of what's in the course. I think in my head it just makes things easier for me. Maybe it's a context thing, but I kind of like to know everything of what's covered in the course before I then focus in on the important things that I need to master for the assessments. The quizzes cause me to go back to the material because chances are, if this is the first time I'm seeing things, I'm not gonna really remember anything and the concepts haven't stuck in my head yet. So there will be a lot of going back and forth the first time I take these quizzes. Once I do this for every single lesson in the course, I get to the assessment part of the course. As for how I take notes, I've experimented with a lot of different note-taking tools and I've settled on Notion. I think it's great and it's helped keep me really organized. So I'll show you guys a quick little setup of how I have everything in Notion for all the courses in launch school. Okay, so this is my Notion setup. I have everything broken up into seminars that launch school has, the back end and the front end. So I'll go into the back end, and right now I have some notes that I took when I was in course LS 170 and 171. So this is just, I think, the internet section, and I have everything as pumpkins for some reason. So this is just how I take notes. I grab a concept and I ask a question sometimes, and I just basically do quick bullet points for those concepts. Not like full complete sentences sometimes, but this is just how I do it. It's quick and I try to get to the point of what it is. I don't like to make it too wordy. It's not word for word or anything like that. I save that kind of thing for the assessment, like the study guide. So the study guide I have here for this one is here, and this is how I do study guides. I literally take all of the sections and bullet points from the actual study guide. So like for here, it's the internet, and there's 6 bullet points here. I take all of this and I copy and paste it into this Notion thing here. So here's the title for the internet. Each individual bullet point I have as a drop down. So this lets me put in the description or examples that I have for this specific topic, and I do that for all of them. And then once I'm done with a specific section and I've reviewed it and I know that everything that I want is in there, I put done here, and this lets me know that I'm finished with that section. So once I'm done with the whole study guide, I do a quick review of it and I'm pretty much good for the assessment. So that was my Notion setup. Now how I take notes is I just do quick bullet points of the concepts. I don't go word for words, I just do bullet points of the key concepts. And then I try to summarize and recall those key concepts in my own words while providing examples for all of them, and then explaining to a high level of precision what the code demonstrates. Now I'm in the assessment study mode. So in this part, this is when I go back to all the lessons and I take notes for the important concepts for the assessment, and I review the quizzes. So usually as I'm doing my second, third, or even fourth pass of the material, I review the quizzes. I think they're a really valuable tool to helping you prepare for the assessments because they have everything that's covered in the lessons. There's a button that hides the answers for the quizzes. So what I usually do now is I hide all my answers and I try to answer each question in my head and obviously get the correct answer. And if I can go through the whole quiz, or almost the whole quiz, answering all the questions correctly, then that lets me know that most likely I'm ready and I can move on to the next lesson. If I can do that for all the lessons for the entire course, then most likely I'm ready. Once I'm done with the study guide, I do a quick pass over all of the lessons just to make sure that I covered everything. And then I take the assessment. This system works well for me, and it helps prevent me from getting hung up and stuck on certain concepts, because before, how I did things, I would go through the material very slowly and take notes word for word, which didn't really work. And every time I got stuck on something, I would just sit there. I would stay there in that part paralyzed for a few days, hoping to not be stuck anymore, hoping that it would become clearer. And I didn't make any progress this way. I wasted a lot of time, actually. I think I did this because I was trying to master the material the first time I saw it, and I just didn't know that that wasn't the best way to do it. I just didn't know. So I didn't want to move ahead in the course, because I figured if I don't understand the material that I have in front of me right now, how am I going to understand anything that's coming ahead? So in my head, I thought I should just stay here and wait until it becomes clear in my mind before I moved on. Looking back now, that was a huge waste of time. And now I know, with the way I study now, that if I am confused or stuck at something, I can just always come back to the material, especially once I have the study guide. The study guide will tell me everything that I need to know, and I can go back and learn those things to mastery. For example, now I'm in course JS 225, learning object-oriented programming in JavaScript, and nothing really makes sense completely. I haven't really formed a mental model of everything that I've seen so far, but I'm not freaking out about it. I'm still confused, but I know I'll just keep going and get the study guide, and again, it'll tell me everything I need to master, and I can just go back. So before, when I was in this situation, I would probably be freaking out right now and trying to figure out what's wrong with me, because I don't understand what I'm seeing and I'm very confused. It's helped me to calm down a bit and to be more confident in my abilities, knowing that I will get this stuff eventually. So I feel like I've become a much better student with the system that I have now. It's not really a big deal to me anymore if I get confused or anything. I get over it pretty quickly. I remember how confused I was when I first got to the object-oriented course in Ruby, and that course just blew my mind, and I was so confused. But you know, eventually I got it, and looking back now, the concepts aren't difficult at all. So I know the same thing is going to happen to me here with JavaScript, so I am not freaked out about it. So I know now for JavaScript not to be discouraged by my confusion. When it comes to preparing for interviews, I again read the study guide, because it'll tell me everything I need to know and what I need to practice. And this practice is a little different than how I practiced for the written assessments. Usually interviews are a little more difficult for me, so when I practice for interviews, it takes me a little longer than what it takes for the written assessments. Probably weeks or even months to get to the point of being ready to actually take the interview. I do all of the exercises that are recommended by Launch School, and I also try to find exercises by Code Wars and eat a bit, ed a bit. For example, for the LS216 JavaScript interview, Launch School recommends you do the first 3 exercises in the interpretive problem solving exercise set, because they say that the difficulty level for those problems are going to be similar to the one you might see on the assessment. So I do those, and I also do the other ones too. I don't just ignore those, but I try to focus on problems that are the same difficulty level, because I sometimes got into the habit of practicing problems that were too difficult for me, and I would be really discouraged when I couldn't get them down in 40 minutes with my PDAP process. So I was just solving the wrong problems and wasting my time. There are some problems that I would study that are slightly more difficult, but nothing too crazy. Once I can solve these problems consistently in the time frame that I need to for the interview, then most likely I'm ready. Also, consistently practicing with other students. I found a lot of study partners who are willing to spend every day or almost every day studying with me, and we would swap problems with each other and interview each other. Usually me being a slower learner, these people would most likely take the assessments before me, and they're amazing because they would tell me about their experiences, and also sometimes they would be willing to still practice with me even after they've taken theirs. This helps me because I get to hear their experience and learn a little more about what the assessment will be like, so that I could really focus again on finding the right problems that will match the level of difficulty. After the interview, if there are any students that haven't taken the assessment yet, I try to still practice with them so that I can tell them about my experience and help them as much as I can to be ready. This way, I can kind of give back to my community and also keep the concepts still fresh in my head. Thank you guys for watching. I just wanted to share with you guys how I study and how I prepare for the written and interview assessments at launch school. The system that I came up with is something that I had to refine over a long period of time. So I didn't start off studying this way. It was really rough in the beginning and I was kind of all over the place, but now that I have this system, I feel like I'm a much more efficient and just better student overall than I was before. And I see that even though I am on the slower side of things, I really take my time, it still kind of has sped up my learning process. Not to say that I'm rushing, but I'm just more efficient and I don't spend too long on one thing. See you guys next time. Bye.